Patricia, I would say Patricia, like a gringo. We're partners and work together at eXp Realty, and we help home buyers learn how to get in the process of buying a home and being successful in that process in a challenging market. And today we're really lucky to have a special guest, Carrie Portman. Say hi, Carrie. You're muted.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Carrie. Thank you for joining our call today.
And Carrie, the American Home Shield. First off, Carrie, where did you get the glasses? I love them. I want a pair.
Well, if I told you, I'd have to, charge you some kind of fee, because like thousands of people have asked me this over the last 2 years.
They're fantastic. I love them.
Even remembered, could maybe making some money, but anything you can do in this world to make yourself stand out, right?
Very nice. Very nice. So first off, Carrie, you're with American Home Shield, and we're going to talk a little bit about what American Home Shield is. But tell me about your background. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you start? How'd you get into the real estate industry, and how'd you get to American Home Shield?
Oh, okay, absolutely. So I am in the Thousand Oaks, Westlake Village area, and I used to in the 1990s. I was selling real estate here successfully, and then I became a pretty good listing agent, working mostly with sellers at that time. In early 2000, a terrible event happened, and it was 9/11, and I had 6 listings at the time, and they all canceled. So then I was out of business, and the market came to a pretty quick halt. So I quickly kind of pivoted, the word of the last 2 years, pivoted to working in home warranty. And I have been in home warranty for 20 years. And the thing that I like about being in home warranty and kind of bringing my real estate experience to the table is that I have that kind of, I call it putting my realtor hat on, where I am thinking about realtors are very, risk management savvy. They're very careful to try to keep deals together, protect their clients, whether it be the buyer or the seller, and protect themselves as well, obviously, from any litigious activities. And that's where home warranty is so great. So then, as I'm representing American Home Shield, then I still think like a realtor and like a consumer as well. So kind of bringing those 3 hats together creates, really a harmonious relationship with everyone that I work with, because at American Home Shield, we are, offering what I think is the most comprehensive plan and the best risk management plan for buyers, sellers, and realtors to protect what's most important to them. Realtors, their clients are most important to them, right? Referrals and the repeat business and staying out of court as well. But, if you work so hard to work with a buyer and then they're unhappy after close of escrow because of something breaking down and they didn't know about it, then this really makes them happy that their buyers have a place to go. And just working with buyers so that, they can take the hassle out of home ownership and, have an easy way to get things fixed in their home. So I grew up in Southern California, though. So I'm a California girl through and through. That's me.
Nice. Wish they all could be California girls. I raised one. My wife's from Boston. I dragged her from Boston here to LA, but my daughter's a California girl for sure. So let's talk about, I'm a buyer, and one of the fears buyers have is they're going to buy a house and the whole thing is going to go to pot. And they hire a home inspector, and the home inspector to me is kind of like, how when women put on makeup, I don't know about you, but many women have like these mirrors that are like extra big, and they highlight every little pore. And so to me, the home inspector is kind of like that mirror, like every little nook and cranny of the house is not perfect. They're going to show you. And the buyer's scared. Oh my gosh, what does that mean? What's that going to do? What's it going to cost me? And oftentimes as a seller, as a listing agent, I'll have to go back and say, look, I live in a house that has all these same things in it, right? I remember one buyer complained that the little springs the back of the door were broken throughout the house. And I said to him, but I live here, like, we don't really use them that much. Like they're nice to replace, and maybe I should go to Home Depot and replace 8 of those things. But at some point, you're buying a house. You're not buying perfection. You're buying the experience of living in a home. What does a home protection plan protect the buyer from? And what does it not protect them from?
So obviously that is a very good question. I think before we launch into that on any meaningful level, I know we've got a lot of different people coming from different backgrounds here today. So I like to answer this question because it's one of the questions that especially first-time buyers have more often than not. What is the difference between homeowners insurance and home warranty? And so I will answer that this way before I get into like what's covered so that everybody kind of understands this. So homeowners insurance will, homeowners insurance by names like Farmers, State Farm, maybe Mercury, maybe Progressive, these names, right? So this is the type of coverage when you have something like secondary damage. Let's take a dishwasher, okay? So let's say that the dishwasher has a mechanical failure and it floods the kitchen, causing secondary damage. Secondary damage is one of the key determination factors between setting the two types of insurance apart. So let's remember that. So the dishwasher, unfortunately, after the buyer moves in, has this failure. The buyer, ran the dishwasher overnight. They came down in the morning. It's all flooded. You've got all this stuff going on. So the secondary damage is not covered by home warranty, American Home Shield, or any of our competitors. The secondary damage, all those things that are part of the cleanup, if you will, and the restoration company that's going to come out with the fans and all of that, and the cabinetry that might need to be replaced, and drywall and painting and floors and all that would be covered by your homeowner's insurance. Okay. They will not, if the dishwasher needs to be repaired or replaced, they're not part of that. So although they will, make everything looks nice, they're actually not going to take care of the problem that created the secondary damage in the situation. So that's where home warranty comes into play. And home warranty is likely not going to cover the secondary damage, but we're going to have eligibility for the homeowner under the terms and conditions of the contract, which I'll talk about in one second, to repair or replace that dishwasher. So,
hold just 1 second for everybody watching. Don't you just get she loves this? Isn't it amazing? Like, I don't know about you, but I've sold real estate for 36 years. I don't really come across this is an important piece of the puzzle. I don't really care much for it. But what amazes me is she just lights up talking about this stuff. It's great.
I know.
Okay, go ahead. I just want to make sure.
No, I do. Thank you for picking up on that. Yeah, I do. Because number one, I was a realtor. And so I had the belief before that. And then I've been in this business for 20 years. I've been with American Home Shield for 16 years. And I continue to have it on my own policy and on my own home rather. And so, I do believe in it wholeheartedly. Is anything ever perfect? No. I mean, so back to like your question, what does it cover? What does it not cover? So it's not as complicated as people want to make it out to be. Okay. I'm going to speak in very simple terms, but what is covered is, there's different plans. We have 3 different plans, good, better, best. When you're buying a home, you can choose if you just want like what we call the basic plan that just is like the critical systems in the home, no appliances. You can choose the middle plan, which does include the appliances and the critical systems. And when I'm talking about critical systems, I'm talking about AC, heating, plumbing, electrical, and then you would add on your various appliances, dishwasher, stove, oven, cooktop, microwave, washer, dryer, refrigerator, those types of things. And then our third plan, which is the most comprehensive plan, is the upgraded plan, which just enhances all of those things. And we do have the add-on options as well as pool and spa, guest house and roof, septic and well pump, and those types of things. So what happens? So a buyer moves into the property, and what makes a claim eligible for what is covered under these contracts? And it's typically a 1-year contract, and it starts at close of escrow. So the buyer moves in, okay, and it's a week after close of escrow, and lo and behold, it's hot out. It's 105 degrees. and the AC stops working. And they're like, darn it. You know, the inspector said it was working and the seller didn't tell me anything, and now it's not working, and I'm hot and I've got a baby and I've got this and I've got that. And so, you know, they might call their realtor because they forgot that they've got this home warranty, but they want to yell at someone because they maybe paid more for the house than they wanted to, and they're mad. Hey, Mr. Realtor, Mr. Gross, you know, thank you so much for helping me buy this house, but guess what? The AC, oh, well, don't worry, you'll say, you've got your home warranty. You can go right online with American Home Shield, or you can call customer service. They have a 24/7, 365 customer service line, or you can go right online and process your claim. And under the terms and conditions of their contract, they will be out within 24 to 36 hours, and they will take care of that claim. So does that give you a high level overview of what's covered?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go a little deeper. What's not covered, you said, was secondary damage is one area it's not covered.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the most common thing that's not covered is damage that's pre-existing. And oftentimes buyers look at that as you're trying to weasel out of the contract. Of course, you know, if it was broken, there's no way you can warranty it's going to work. That's not your job, but you can document. And I've been in that situation. So how often do you get that phone call from the realtor who just got a screaming hot call from the buyer saying, hey, the spa heater or the heating system or the cooling system isn't working. And you go back and somehow verify that it was broken. It was missing the motor, it was missing the whatever. And it's obvious that it wasn't working. Tell me about that misconception.
Yeah, that is an excellent question. I think that before I dive into that, as any of the realtors out here, if I had one piece of advice as it relates to home warranty to give you, it's that age-old advice, which is to set the proper expectations. So there's something about like set the expectations in this way and then something else the other way. And I can't remember what that is, but you know what I'm talking about, Bill.
Yeah, don't just say, call Carrie, she'll replace the air conditioner. She'll come out tomorrow with a truck and
they do.
Replace the whole thing.
Well, I mean, back in the day, I'm going to tell you, back in the day, in the 90s, when I was selling real estate, I remember being involved in transactions, and it would be during the inspection report that, you know, one of the other sides, because let's keep it real, everybody, the realtors in the transaction, they want the deal to close. They want everyone to be happy. They a lot of times see these inspectors as deal killers, right? It's like, shh, don't say too much. I mean, that's the way they used to be. And then if they would say something, I had transactions where the realtor on the other side would say, don't worry about it. Just close the escrow and then call the home warranty company. They'll come out and fix it. I think maybe that worked in the 90s and we pioneered the home warranty industry in the late 70s. We were the first company and we pioneered it in the state of California. You could probably do the math as to why a home warranty company started in the state of California. It's because California is the most litigious state in the union, second only to Florida. And you probably wouldn't surprise anyone to know that the number one area of the law where there are more lawsuits than anything else in the state of California is real estate as a general area of the law. So back to your question. So let's say what's covered and what's not covered and how often do I hear about it? Well, it's all about, again, setting those proper expectations. So I think as a realtor, it's really important when there is an inspection, and we do not require that there is an inspection. Okay. So let's say that there's an inspection and that during the inspection, something comes up and it's noted, right? And it says, this needs attention. If anything says this needs attention and they go on to describe it, and it's one of the items we happen to cover in the home. We don't cover everything in the home. We don't cover the structure of the home. We don't cover doors, hinges, windows, and these types of things. But let's say that it's one of the big ticket items that can be a sticking point in getting an escrow to the finish line, right? Let's say that it's the HVAC system. And let's say that the inspector says, this system is missing parts and it is not cooling the way I would expect for it to. and it needs attention from a licensed heating and air person. And so, again, that is what we call, as you noted, a pre-existing condition. In order for that then to be eligible for coverage by a home warranty company after close of escrow, if they try to make a claim, and we don't know because we don't get a copy of every inspection report, we don't even require it. But let's say that it's sometime after close of escrow. And again, our technicians are all independent contractors. So, they go out, and let's say that 9 times out of 10, being honest, how does this technician know that it was a pre-existing condition and a problem before the close of escrow? Because the buyer tells that technician, oh, I just moved in, but my realtor told me to call you as soon as I did and have this HVAC system fixed that was found in the inspection report. Then the technician tells us that, and then we're like, whoop, denied. Okay. Now at that point.
Well, let's just stop there for a second.
Yeah.
That's just not fair. Right. I mean, that's a dishonest realtor trying to get a home warranty company for a couple $100 premium to pay for maybe a couple $1,000 on air conditioning, rather than in the escrow saying, stop, somebody's got to pay for this. It's not me. It's not you. Let's work this out.
Yeah.
And I think you were right. In the old days, people got away with that.
Yeah.
And I don't think people get away with that anymore today, as far as I can tell.
No, not at all. So, okay. So that's a pretty straightforward thing. It's like, hey, you said it. And I'll say, if it comes to my attention, which it has over the years, I'm like, did you say it? And was it not working? If it's some realtor gave them my particular phone number, because I work with realtors to try to kind of smooth things over and make everything nice. I'm like, I can't help you because you did this thing. I go, hey, if it's wrong and you've got an inspection report that's what I call clean. Okay. So if you've got an inspection report and your buyer was just was mistaken, then send me that inspection report that says that it was serviceable and that it was working. Now, in any case, if we come out and we make the determination, because let's just say that there was no mea culpa, that no one said to the technician, hey, this wasn't working prior, but let's just say that the technician comes out to run the diagnosis and let us know to try to get authorization for the claim, and they make the determination, let's say with a hot water heater. Let's say that it's a week or two after close of escrow and there's rust stains all behind the wall of the hot water heater. You can see evidence that it's been leaking for a while. And the technician's like, hey, it does need to be replaced, this hot water heater, but I think that there's evidence that this has been going on for a while. And so then they tell our authorizations department that we deny the claim. Now, then at that point, the buyer's like, oh, great. What was the point of having this home warranty? If you've been around long enough, you've had this experience, the buyer's not happy when the realtor led them to believe that, don't worry, you're going to be fine as long as, everything was working prior to close of escrow. You're going to be fine after close of escrow. Your home warranty is going to take care of you. So, wow, now, Mr. Realtor, I've just been denied by American Home Shield. So they're like, all right, well, let me call someone that I know, or let's see what we can do. They don't even have to get their realtor involved. They could just on their own, they're eligible under our terms and conditions of our contract to ask for what we call a second opinion. Okay. They can get a second opinion and have someone come out. It's a blind opinion. A new technician's going to come and maybe they'll find something different. They also, during the course of this, dealing with our customer service team, can say, hey, this was working fine prior to close of escrow. May I please send you my inspection report, which will detail that. And then we will look at it. And if it was completely working fine, not a problem, we will overturn the denial and we will cover that hot water heater for them. Okay.
So you're making two good points. I'm sorry. Did you your hands up? Did you have a question?
Oh, I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I was just going to ask, so you talked about the difference between the homeowner's insurance and the home warranty. And I wanted to just ask, even under the basic plan, is there some type of general coverage for plumbing or any type of, and can you upgrade plumbing through the most comprehensive plan?
Yeah. So 2 questions that you asked. So the basic plan, if you will, it's called our Shield Essential. It covers the plumbing, the electrical, the HVAC, so the heating and air, if there is air. If not air, they can subtract that out for deduction in price, and the hot water heater. Okay. So it's those are all the same limits of liability and coverage. For the most part, as the other plans, except for what's included in our upgraded plan. There's another $1,200 in modifications and permits that might be needed that are not included in that basic plan. Now, let's just say that your buyer says, I wanted to write a clean offer. And besides, I'm going to be replacing the appliances. And I've heard this so much over the last 2 years. I need the full coverage and I want to write a clean offer. I either want the basic cheap plan so the seller doesn't have to deny me in this multiple offer situation, or let's just not get a home warranty altogether. I mean, that happens too. In either case, American Home Shield does allow the buyer to do one of two things. After close of escrow, they have 60 days, 6-0, to upgrade their plan, and we let them know about this. They can upgrade from the basic to the upgraded. They would obviously be paying for the difference, but they have that eligible to them. If they didn't get a home warranty because they wanted the offer to be clean and not bother the seller, which I have a whole other opinion, which I won't bore you with about that. It's just as much protection as the seller as it is for the buyer, okay? You didn't tell me, you did tell me. I have seen more TDS that the seller's like, everything's fine, and it wasn't. And even with, whatever, you all know what I'm talking about. So they can upgrade it to answer. Did that answer your question?
It did. And so as far as not getting, let's just say the buyer opted not to purchase a home warranty or bother the seller with that. So what's the time frame? Is it still 60 days from the date of close of escrow to buy a home warranty?
At the real estate pricing. Yeah, they can still do that and achieve everything normal. They will just, obviously they can do a monthly plan. It's not gonna be paid for through escrow. But they can certainly do that. And let's just say that it's, beyond the 60 days, then they would not get the real estate pricing. It's a little bit of a bump in pricing and the coverage is slightly different through our direct to consumer plan. And there is a 30-day wait to make any claims at that point with the direct to consumer. So with our real estate pricing and our real estate plan, the coverage starts on day one. The minute it closes escrow, they are eligible for coverage. Before we've even received funds for escrow, they can make up to 2 claims. One of them being our rekey, which is included in our plans, which is also a great risk management tool. Not everybody, believe it or not, is a habit out of changing the locks when they move into a property, which is so crazy.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know.
First thing I would do. And just to add, you also can get the plan. You can make your offer without the warranty and add it while you're in escrow. And most times, if you're paying for it, the seller's not going to argue with it. They'll say fine.
Well, okay, that brings me
everything's
to an interesting strategy, if you will.
I think it's strategy.
Huh?
I think it's strategy.
Strategery.
I think it's
Strategy and strategery.
She's wearing the glasses. She can say that.
Yeah,
Okay. Strategy. It's strategy. Strategery is, I'm trying to use it, I think, as a different kind of verb. It could be a word. I don't know. I just like it.
I think it's a noun.
It's a noun. Okay. So thank you.
English minor in college.
You're the boss.
English minor in college. Thank you. 42 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I went to fashion school, so clearly I don't know nothing. Where?
You went to fashion school, yeah.
Yeah. At FIDM.
My daughter went to FIT. She was actually going to go to FIDM and then changed her mind, went to FIT in New York.
She moved to the East Coast. Well, good for her.
Yeah. Well, she's back.
I stayed in LA. Well, yeah. And here I am selling home warranties.
But with fashionable glasses.
There you go. That answers that, brings it all together. Okay. So where were we talking about? What were we talking about?
Strategery.
Strategery.
You had better
Strategery. Okay. The strategery, the strategy of, I like this idea of when you are making an offer, okay? And we know there's a lot of multiple offer, scenarios going on. So we have our buyer's plans that start on day one of close of escrow. We also have seller's coverage, okay? So seller's coverage starts when you take the listing, if you're the listing agent, and it's that basic plan with just the critical systems, no appliances. And roughly, let's say about $1 a day, and it's prorated and billed close of escrow. If the property never closes escrow, it falls out of escrow for some reason, we don't send a bill. There is a maximum liability of $2,000 on that plan. It's not the same. We don't have that kind of limit of liability per se on the buyer's plan, but that's what we offer for the seller. Well, not a lot of properties, believe it or not, have this kind of coverage in place when the property is listed. So I love this idea, and I have had a lot of top producers that have had quite success with this in getting deals for their buyers, because here you get all these, you get 10 offers, right? And they're all about the same. But one of them has not excluded the home warranty, because if someone's savvy, they know that it's protecting the seller just as much as it is the buyer and both realtors, right, to stay out of court. So the offer actually says home warranty to be provided by the buyer after close of escrow. And in addition, Mr. Seller, if this offer is accepted, I will order listing coverage, seller's coverage, actually it's called seller's coverage for you today, and I will pay for it.
I like that.
Coverage all the way through this period of time until close of escrow. So two things then the seller becomes eligible for. Number one, when they have their, and there's that laundry list of items that the buyer has requests for repair for, any of those items that are eligible for coverage under our contract, the seller can say, great, let's just process that. They'll be saving money right there on the front end, right? They can bundle them together with one service fee if they're under the same trade. So that's great for the seller, so that they don't have to, worry about, oh, this was broken and that's broken and yada, yada, yada. And then the other thing, which is my favorite thing about seller's coverage as it relates to home warranty, is that the whole idea of we just closed escrow today and tomorrow the heater's not working. Oh, well, it was, the heat exchanger was cracked and no one knew because they didn't inspect on that. And whose fault was it? The seller can't really disclose that because they didn't know the heat exchanger was cracked. Nobody looks at that piece. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters as it relates to pre-existing condition, because we had it covered prior to close of escrow.
Nice.
We had it covered prior, then we're going to cover it later. So that clause goes out.
I like it.
Is that brilliant? Brilliant.
That's brilliant. I've made note myself, just for those on the call. I'm more of a listing agent myself. I'm going to be all over you and or your website to figure out how to, what a nice selling proposition. You just tell that to a seller. Most agents don't even know that exists as an option.
Right.
And for $1 a day, I'll pay for it. For $80.
You don't even have to tell them it's you don't have to tell them. You can just say, Mr. I'm going to cover your house while it's going through escrow, and it's going to protect both of us. And then I'm going to pay for the thing after. And then they're like, okay, well, I don't even care that other guy's, going to pay a little bit more. This just sounds really unique and great to me. And it's going to be, just protect us.
Does it start from the listing?
It can start
the day you start in this listing contract.
Take the listing.
Take you into control.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm awesome. On that. I'm already taking listings with that. In my mind, I've taken 3. So
awesome.
Yeah. And then two things to jump out the page to me on what you said before. You didn't say this, but I think it's obvious after saying is, one, if you're a buyer, you have to get a home inspection. You have to get a good quality home inspection so you know what you're doing. Now, the problem is that sometimes home inspections are fishing expeditions for business, and sometimes home inspections sound like, you read all the disclosures in a real estate document, you're going to pass out in fear. But you got to get it, and you have to look at it and read it, and be able to read it competently, meaning there are things that are minor that you need to know about that are deferred maintenance. There are things that you should think about at some point in time. The other things that right now aren't working right, and you need to be aware of them, so you don't buy the house with that defect in place and buy it. And so it's such a fine line between not wanting to know and knowing too much and being scared. And I think a home inspection is so underrated as importance of a good one, and the ability to communicate effectively, both in writing and be able to explain things if you have a question. Then second is review it in detail and review it with your agent so you know what you're getting. And what you shouldn't be scared about it, but you should be able to understand it, because you are buying a house and it's got a lot of moving pieces in it, right?
Right. And Bill, that's a really good point. And oftentimes I have realtors that I've worked with for many years who will be in that situation, and they will wonder, because they don't want to think is wise, what will be covered or what they should ask for and all these things. So they will sometimes send me an inspection report, which, I mean, if everybody in the world did this, there would be not enough time in the day, but it's not the worst thing in the world to do, especially if you're trying to keep the deal together and the buyer has concerns. Send me the inspection report, or send me the request for repair, or send me things that you're concerned about. And I can tell you, is that something that would be covered after close of escrow? And I'm going to give you the most important example. And it's a big ticket item, and it's the HVAC system. It's the AC and the heater. Okay. So, especially with everything going on with, climate and environment and pricing and logistics and everything else under the sun, literally. I see this all the time. So there's a life expectancy generally for both a heater and for an AC. And it's somewhere in the neighborhood, really, believe it or not, I want to say like 15 to 20 years. That's what they consider the average life expectancy. Now, we all know that they can live longer, right? So oftentimes I will get this call at least once or twice a week from a realtor saying, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to ask for because we want to keep this deal together. But the inspection report says that the furnace or that the AC is nearing its life expectancy. And the buyer's like wants to ask for like a $10,000 credit. And oh my gosh, what the heck am I gonna do? Because that might kill the deal. Would this be covered? Would this be covered after close of escrow? So I have one question about that. Then I say, does it say nearing its life expectancy and should be inspected by a licensed heating and air person? Yeah. Okay. Well, that was the setup. My question is were there any notes for repair? Because if there's no notes for repair, then they're doing that thing that you said that they do, which is they're just trying to cover their tush. Okay. So they're just like, hey, we just want you to know it's a 35-year-old furnace or AC or 30 years old or whatever it is. And it's nearing its life expectancy or it's beyond its life expectancy. So we're going to let you know that, but it's checked serviceable or it's working fine. So long as it's working fine, it's not a pre-existing condition. And if it dies on day one, it's eligible for coverage under the contract. Why ask the seller for any credit, and yeah, does that help?
Well, I think sometimes the answer to your question is they ask for it because it's a backhanded way to negotiate the deal. And also I think the agent doesn't understand what they have. I've had agents who just took the whole report, copied, paste, and said, repair this. And I said, my sellers, retired living out of state, they're not going to repair anything. We can make an adjustment. Well, we brought a contractor in to do everything on the inspection report to make it brand new again. Isn't it cost, $50,000? And say, well, you're not buying a brand new house. That's not what we're selling. We're selling this, we're not selling that. So I think it really gets down to working with your agent, working with professionals who understand and can explain these things.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, in particular, the additional cost of roof coverage. What does that cost typically? And what does that cover and what's that not covering?
So our roof leak repair coverage is $100 additional for a home, single family home up to 5,000 square feet. And if it's over, then it's like double the cost. So if it's 5,000 to 10,000 square feet, then it would be like 200. So, and what that is covering is the roof leak repair. So there's like $1,000, in coverage when it will have a leak and they're going to come out and just repair the leak. It's a bit of a muddy expectation, and it's not consistent with the rest of our coverage because whereby the rest of the contract, if the item, whether it's the AC or the dishwasher or the hot water heater, if it can be repaired, we repair it. If it can't be repaired, then we fix it. With the roof leak, you're getting $1,000 limit of liability, and that's all you're not getting a whole new roof, pal, for $100. Right. And sometimes people are like, wait a minute, what if coverage is only $1,000 total limit? Well, that's what it is because, it's $50,000 generally speaking to replace the full roof, generally. So
right. And so theoretically, your inspector looked at the roof and the general condition, and if the general condition is such that it warrants more investigation, they'll recommend. And then that's where you get the buyer goes, well, I don't want to pay for the roof inspection because it's going to cost too much. But they recommended it because you're going to need it, because it's cheaper to do it now than later. So
sure,
one of those challenges. And again, that's where experience as an agent comes in and helping guide your buyers and your clients through the process.
Yep.
So if you had to pick one, hey, by the way, those of you on the call, I'm enjoying this. I don't know about you, but I think Carrie should be a stand-up comedian as well. Say next time I'm going to slap you. I'm just saying that because I think you're funny and you're entertaining.
Yeah,
Some
to
people,
Butterville.
some people think I'm like this, you know?
I'm sure you can go there pretty quick. I'm going to bet. But hey, the call is meant to be interactive. So if you're on this call and you have a question, feel free to type in the chat box or raise your little Zoom hand there, or just pop off your mute and jump in family style and ask a question. We're here to be interactive, but I'm enjoying this. I'm learning quite a bit. What do you see? Wait for either. Anybody want to jump in real quick?
Carrie, I was just gonna, meanwhile, I don't know if somebody's gonna raise their hand, any of the guests, but I was just gonna comment and say that when I purchased my home about 7 years ago, I'm so glad that I did opt in for the home warranty, because my home was built in 1950 and it has the original furnace that heats the home, which is underneath the home. And we closed escrow in the ending of July. So I wasn't concerned with turning on the furnace. I mean, it was turned on during the inspection and it worked. But after that, I wasn't concerned about it because we were having a nice hot summer, so it wasn't needed. As we entered winter, like you said, that's when things start to break down, right? Your air conditioner goes out, your heating system goes out. So it was going to cost about $2,000 to get it repaired because it wasn't turning on, it wasn't working. I had the gas company come out to see if they could just light the pilot. That wasn't it. So I went through the home warranty company, and I'm not even sure who it was, but it was definitely helpful to have it. So I encourage my clients not to waive it and to just, pay for it themselves if they decide they're not trying to bother the seller with that cost. But I think it is important to have, because that saved me so much money. I still have the original furnace and it still works, but I had it serviced 7 years ago. So I had the general maintenance done on it. And then there were a couple of parts that needed to be replaced. And so out of the $2,000, I think I paid $500.
Mm-hmm.
So that still saved me about $1,500 from what the total cost would have been. And our furnace works fine. It works really well.
That's great.
Yeah.
I do see a question over there in the box.
Yeah, it was a great question from Larry. Actually, first Andrew. Any price breaks or recommendations when buying multiple homes at a time? Now, of course, the question I would ask you back, Andrew, is: are we talking about multiple investment homes? We're talking about a residence and a second home, or multiple residences? Anyhow, Carrie,
I'll answer all of those questions as one. So yes, there actually are price breaks. We can certainly, if, even for people that are not in an escrow situation, we do offer some kind of multi-line discount kind of thing like that. And if you're buying all of them at once and they're all part of an escrow situation and you're going to be paying for it to have that clean offer, or you're a seller and you're trying to get a discount, either way, there's usually, I can't quote what it would be. I would say it would be nominal. It would probably be in the neighborhood of somewhere around, $50 or something, $75. But we do offer that, yes.
And then if you buy 5 or more, you get a pair of glasses, and glasses like that.
In any color you choose.
Amazon. That's where I got them.
And then Larry says, how do you get about getting my certificate or taking the class? Larry, talk to Patricia. I don't know that there's any particular certificate. When you're ready to buy a house, we're ready to help you. And so, but let's talk about what you're working on and how we can help you get what you want. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, look, we went a little longer than you normally because, Carrie, you're really entertaining. This was a lot of fun. I imagine if we had some alcohol and some snacks, we could go on for a couple hours. It'd really be
for sure
a burn laughs at the end of a work day with you. I can't imagine what your day is like with real estate agents calling. But look, it's an important service. I've used it as well. I bought a house where we had an inspection. It was a spa, and we paid for the spa coverage. And the inspector guy ran the spa heater, and it worked fine. And we moved in. The spa heater didn't work. And of course, the seller was working fine when I left. It must have been you afterwards. Well, the guy who came out from the home warranty plan came out and said, well, it's not just it's not working, it's melted. They obviously let it running for like days. They turned it on and forgot to turn it off, and somehow it melted. and it's obvious recent because it was warm and soft metal that had been destroyed, and the seller ended up having to pay for it. So that's how it goes. That's the advantage.
Well, that's
sometimes.
good.
Get it all
Yeah.
worked out at the end. So good. Look, if you want to reach Patricia or I, she put her phone number in the chat box, 323-365-9909. We do this every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern, and then we live stream this on YouTube and Facebook. And so if you see us afterwards, feel free to ask questions or put comments. Of course, like, subscribe, and all that. Help support us. We appreciate that. And we hope forward to seeing you next week, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And again, Carrie, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Carrie.
Thank you. Best of luck to everyone.